In today's discussion, we're talking about foreclosure impact. Impact. All right,
Mm.
foreclosure impact. And for some of you guys out there who are listening, we know that you know what, in general, we as people can be very self-centered. Would you agree, Hank?
Oh, I am
And
my own
because
my own best interest, but that of my family, that of my friends, and so
love
there's a sliding scale, I believe,
absolutely,
for everybody.
and because of that sliding scale, right? Everyone's is different. All right,
Hmm.
so because of that sliding scale, a lot of us, when we hear things like foreclosure impact, we're like, oh, what the heck? It doesn't impact me.
Hmm.
But we're going to find something out where it's take a different look, take a different perspective. Okay, take a different perspective.
And for anyone who has been through it, you remember the experience, but it's in the rear view mirror. So
Mm,
if you're going to continue to look in the rear view mirror, okay, you can't move forward only because of the bitter taste that the process left in your mouth, okay,
it'll taste.
or may leave in your mouth.
Oh, well, it should have left some kind of taste, some kind of taste in the mouth, right?
Hmm.
Um, we're going to go ahead and put some of these articles into the descriptions, into the links, so that you guys are able to also follow along, or also or give your own perspective on it, because we're definitely open to having a discussion with you guys,
Hmm.
and we invite you all to the live event that's taking place tomorrow, Thursday, 7 p.m. March 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So,
Leland, may I make a broad statement? I,
oh
I
please,
can't I
go out.
can't I can't verify, but I'm gonna make a broad statement because I was just thinking about something. The average person goes in and applies for a mortgage, and whomever there's a formula that's used, and I think that they want no more than, I forget whether it's 28% or 30 something percent of your gross income to go towards your mortgage.
Yep, 30%.
But
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, 30%.
Okay, 30%. But here is the problem that I think some people don't think about because they run with that 30%. But before they touch that 30%, there was taxes, insurance, and other expenses that are not in that equation. So they go in, they get the down payment, they go in, they get a house, and then after they're now in the house, they find themselves in a tight only because that 30% of 100,000, okay? So they think they can do something with a net of 70,000. But remember, we were talking 30% has already come out in some form of tax, right? So
Yep,
now rather than being 70,000, it is 40. It's 40,000
correct.
because okay, and then if you have a government, I mean, if you have an employer retirement plan and you're putting in, you know, $200 a month, okay,
Yep.
that 40,000 is now down to 37,000 something.
Whew. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So what happens, and there might be some other things, and I'm not saying don't buy a house. I'm just saying that don't be fooled by the 37%. You need to look at the mortgage calculators will let you know what your monthly payment is. And they'll tell you that it's principal, interest, and you go like, oh man, that's okay, I can do that. But then there's insurance and taxes, and then you may have to pay another type of a principal and interest insurance or something, okay, that you may
Yeah.
not have considered. So we eagerly go into this minefield, knowing that there are live mines in the field that
Oof.
that because we're trusting whomever to say, hey, listen, this is going to be a good deal for you, and we're excited. We might be a first homeowner, yada yada yada, and then all of a sudden you sit back and go like, dang, baby, whew, boy, it's tough to make a payment. I need to go out and need to get a part time job. Or, dad, baby, this is something else, honey. You need to go to work. Or, oh, honey, but like like okay, like you need to get promoted. I mean, it's that that American dream
Uh-oh.
becomes an American nightmare through lack of knowledge and or lack of information. And
Mm,
now we feel that, hey, I've done all of this to get where I am, and now I'm struggling.
there you go.
So now, can I validate that? No, but I can see the things that people don't consider, that aren't considered in the equation that's presented to you on the front end. So what happens a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, Leland? If nothing else changed other than those expenses, what happens to you?
Well, you're dead. I mean, let's just call it what it is. You're
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
And you might pay the mortgage, but you forget to pay your taxes, property taxes. What happens to you, Leland?
You're dead.
You
They're
did,
taking it. They're taking it. They're taking it. It's done.
you know. So it's I'm not trying to frighten anybody. I'm just saying that you need to make sure that you got your eyes wide open in the right perspective.
Yeah. And I wanna piggyback on that because um, Hank, everything you're mentioning is correct. And in the live training, what we're going to go through are everything that you mentioned in great detail, and then
Really?
also how you can help other people. Absolutely.
Man,
Let me
oh man,
let me paint a picture for the audience just real quick. This is so
okay.
important. So FHA, conventional mortgages, et cetera, they put you into one of three buckets, not based on your income, but solely based off of your credit score and utilization.
Oh, okay.
So if you have a credit score that is between a 580 to a 619, you're in the 30% bucket. If you have a credit 620 and a 649, you're in the 42% bucket. And if you have a 650 and up, you're at a 50% bucket. Now, I know someone's thinking like, Leland, what are these buckets for? So
I was thinking, what? Man, one of these buckets.
these buckets represent the percentage of income that the bank, the mortgage, the lender will allow you as a borrower to qualify for based on your income. So let's paint this picture.
Okay.
We could take three people that all have the same income, and let's say they all wait tables at a restaurant. Okay, and let's say they all have an income of 30,000. Right? We all know that statistically that's the average income of an individual in the United States, not the average household. The average household is 53, but the average income of an individual that lives on their own is
Uh-huh.
31,000. Okay,
Wow.
which by the way, the poverty line is 32,000. But hey, we'll talk about that another day.
It's pathetic. It's sick,
Okay?
but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Uh-huh.
So we won't argue about that. Those are just the facts. If you don't like it, talk to somebody.
That's right. Don't blame us.
Don't blame us. All right.
Uh-huh.
So but these three people, they all have the same income of 31,000, but they're in different buckets. So let's call one Margaret, Martha, and Mary. Okay.
Mm.
Margaret has a, let's say Margaret has a 615 FICO. So out of the 31,000, let's say out of $31,000 that she earns annually, her yearly mortgage payments can't be more than $9,000. Okay, so that means for all 12 months, it can't equate more than 9,000.
Is that mortgage or everything surrounding the mortgage?
That is everything surrounding the mortgage.
Okay, because again, sometimes people say, "Oh, my mortgage payment is X." Well, it's mortgage plus all those other things that constitute a mortgage payment.
That's right.
Okay, all right, I'm with you.
So the next person, remember, they all earn the same thing. But basically, we'll do the basic math right here so you guys can see it.
Uh-huh.
We're just going to go to a Google calculator on Google. Let me share this with you all, just so that everyone can see how this works, right? Now, 31,000, we'll go ahead and put this in.
Oh man.
Because once you see this, once you realize the way this works, you can't unsee it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be fooled again.
What's that cliche? You can't unring that bell.
You cannot.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
in bucket one, we went Margaret, Martha, and Mary, right? So bucket one,
Mm-hmm.
Margaret is her mortgage payments can't be more than 9,300. Okay.
Okay.
Now we're gonna take same income again, but this person has a credit score of let's say a 630. So the bank says, hey, they can qualify for up to 42% of their income. So that's a $13,020. All right, that's yearly. That's how much you can afford yearly.
Mm-hmm.
The next one has a 700 credit score, and the bank says, hey, they can afford up to 50% of their income. So then that means that their yearly mortgage can't be more than 15,500. Now here's the thing, Hank. The mortgage payments for a house that's going to be 15,000 a year, the quality, the schools, et cetera, are going to be completely different from a mortgage of someone that's only paying 9,000 a year.
True.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but the income is the same.
Yeah.
The primary factor that's separating these three women, Margaret, Martha, and Mary, is their
Mm-hmm.
credit. That
Leland,
is.
may I interject something right now for people that are listening? If your credit score is not over 700, if it's not over 700, if it's not better yet 740, but at least over 700, 720, you need to stop. I would suggest put everything on pause and work like hell to get your credit score over 720. And it won't take forever. Now, granted, I am not a credit counselor, but you can go in to a dealership and get a car for much of nothing, but they're going to charge you 18%, 20%
Mhm.
of interest on the car because they're not really regulated like the housing industry. You won't get a house if you can't make the mortgage payment. So the point is, get your a simple thing is take 6 months to get your credit score up. Okay.
Hank, what I love,
Yes, sir.
about what you're saying is this. So let me back up. I've heard investors, especially real estate investors, say, "Hey, I don't care about credit because I don't need it. Credit doesn't mean anything to me." I've heard other people say like, oh, I'm not worried about my credit. It's like, huh, okay. But
Okay.
here's the thing: even when we're helping clients with private loans, many of the lenders that are lending a lot more than someone who's lending in their 401k. So let me back
Uh-huh.
up. Could you get a loan through someone and they don't care about your credit? Yeah, right.
Yes, absolutely.
Could you reach out to someone that has money in their 401k? It has to be a special type of 401k, by the way, and they could lend you money and you could make payments to the 401k. Yeah, you could do that. Now, the amount of people that do that is smaller than the amount of companies that lend as a business.
Well,
So for house flippers, talk to house flippers. I'm like, hey, listen, do you have a 650? Because if you have a 650, it makes life easier. If you
uh-huh.
have 600, it's going to make that deal pretty difficult. You want to know why? Because the interest rate is going to be extremely higher.
Wow. Now, you said something, and again, my mind. I like talking with you, Leland, because you trigger scenarios. There's a well-known individual who was a real estate guru, a developer guru, and he had casinos and all that other good stuff.
Hmm.
And he wasn't worrying about his credit score, but he was considered a credit risk with all of his so called wealth, and banks wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Okay. So I know that's an extreme, but you were saying earlier about about credit. There are people who got money and they said they don't worry about their credit. There will come a time, I believe there will come a time where either their financial credit, I'm gonna get this, somebody's gonna miss this, this is deep,
Yeah, it
or
is.
their personal credit slash character,
Oh,
okay,
oh,
okay, will be at the table.
that's true. Let me say this in reference to what Hanks mentioned. Uh, the individual that Hank's mentioning, and by the way, I have tons of his books. Had tons of his books in college before, um, he did whatever. So before all this other stuff came out,
He was
and
the man, so I'm not knocking him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's smart with PR and everything. So if anyone who cares to read those books, what you'll find out is the lenders, the banks, were not lending him those properties or money based on his credit. They were lending the properties and money based on his track record. His
Uh-huh.
track record primarily stemmed from him licensing his name or his brand with other developers who had a good track record. So because those other developers had a good track record, it made him look or appear that his track record was just as well. So
Mm.
if I license my brand with Marriott and Marriott's builds a hotel and it's successful, I can then take that success with other lenders like a bank, let's say Bank of America, and say, hey,
Uh-huh.
listen, I've partnered with individuals like Marriott. We have had a successful venture. I am looking to do something on my own. I have some of the same team members that were with me for that transaction. And therefore, I believe that me and this new team that has the experience will be successful. Then, yeah, that makes sense. But again, let me say this: when the banks gave or paid, they basically paid this businessman, to take a hold of these failing casinos, et cetera, et cetera. It
Uh-huh.
was because when he had partnered with other institutions, the bank said, "Hey, no one else wants to take these failing properties. We need to find other investors who will be willing to be the quote unquote, we call it a white knight, the quote unquote take on these properties to turn them around and still pay us our money that's owed."
Mm, mm, mm.
But even at the very first bricks per se of that to begin, there had to be good enough credit to first get to that level.
Okay. Okay.
Again, if anyone reads those books, which there are a ton, this individual started off with his father, who had owned various properties in Queens and other middle to low income areas. Which those properties, once he inherited those from his father, he was able to leverage those into other developments and partnerships.
Mm.
But
Okay.
to leverage them, you still have to have credit. Now, most people don't have a father who had tens of million dollars of real estate. They probably don't have a father that had tens of million dollars of real estate in apartment buildings in New York, for one.
Old man.
So if you don't have those things and you're not already connected with developers, then you're going to need to make sure your credit's good. Now, the average American, the reason I mentioned the buckets is because the average American falls within these buckets. If you're earning 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, $100 million a year, you can get you can get different types of loans that don't necessarily care about your track record per se, because they're basically going to leverage your income to purchase that property to live in. Okay, FHA isn't going to deal with you necessarily, not a lot of times, unless you have 2 years of work history, et cetera, et cetera. So someone who's making that argument, they're missing the point, because the point is the average American uses conventional mortgages or FHA mortgages to purchase a home. That is what it is. That's like 80% of the market. Okay.
Okay.
And so based on the credit score, they put you in 3 buckets. That's what it is.
Yeah. For average people,
For
normal
the
people,
Yeah,
everyday
for
people,
80% of the population.
middle class people.
80% of 80 middle class, and even even lower upper class, right? Same
Right.
pockets. So here we go. 50% of the income, the bank says, hey, you qualify for 15,500. Now, Hank, you mentioned taxes, right? Well, taxes is how much comes out the check.
It depends, but it depends. For that amount, it's probably 18 to 22%.
Okay, so this is already 50%. 22% would make the grand total 72%.
Okay.
All right. So if we were to again go to 31,000, and what I'm gonna do here, guys, I want to multiply this not by 72%. I'm gonna take the opposite of that. So 1 minus 72 is about 30, 28. All right. So I'm gonna multiply this by 28%, because this is how much money is left. That's how much money is left annually for that person. $8,680.
Can't buy the house.
You can buy the house, but it's going to be tough to pay the electricity. Tough to
It
pay
goes
the
back to
water.
It goes back to my earlier statement that there are things that will hit you without you realizing. Even when you walk in the door, you're behind.
Correct. And it's not, again, it's really not the fault per se of the borrower, because the education system is not going to tell you that this is how that actually breaks down. All that you're seeing. So again, this person is able to get a $15,000 yearly mortgage payment. So we just go ahead and divide that by 12. This is what it comes out to. So all they're telling you is, hey, listen, you qualify for about $1,300 in a mortgage payment. And then someone says, well, that equates to about a $300,000 home. Okay. So all that waitress here is that's earning 31,000 is, oh my goodness, I can qualify for a 280 or $300,000 home. Not knowing that the way that those numbers shake out, once they get into month 2, month 3, month 4, they're constantly going to be in what will appear to be a never-ending rat race. So we understand that there are people that are listening that are like, hey, I'm not in foreclosure. I'm good. I don't care. Oh well. But the truth is that most Americans, remember, 80% of Americans qualify for homes using either the FHA or conventional. 80% of Americans are put into one of those three buckets when they qualify for a home. Now, out of the 80%, half of those individuals are the ones that end up being in financial distress. Half of that, which is 25%, are the ones that end up having to be in such distress that they're behind on payments, they're having trouble keeping up, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to be able to help those individuals.
Wow. Leland, I did some research a couple weeks ago on the impending mortgage foreclosure that would probably be as a result of COVID, okay? Because there are normal foreclosures going on every day, all the time, period. But COVID um, has accelerated that process and put more people in jeopardy of foreclosures because they didn't have jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the article I read just blew my mind, and it said that foreclosures in 2022, in essence, I'm paraphrasing, will be a boon for investors. So a person who's in foreclosure for your loss, you're creating an opportunity for someone to invest in and buy your house. And when you bought the house, the realtor made money, the mortgage company made money, the title company made money, the county made money, the insurance made money, and you got a house. Now, when you can no longer make your payment, the realtor got paid up front. He or she isn't worried. The mortgage company has already sold your mortgage to somebody else, so they're not worried. Title company got paid up front. The county, if you don't pay, they're gonna come after you. And the insurance company got paid up front because you pay a premium up front. So I'm not saying be afraid. I'm just saying be aware. Be aware. And Leland has said when the moratorium is lifted, there will be an acceleration of foreclosures. In fact, if you go to Zillow.com now, you will see a lot of homes that are up for auction already, up for auction. So people aren't waiting for the 6 months to expire. Foreclosures are still happening as we speak today.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you, Leland, but and they'll hear this tonight. But if you think you're in foreclosure, if you're behind, okay, don't wait until the ball drops. There's some actions that you can take now to try to to lessen the financial blow of the humiliation, the embarrassment, all of those negative impacts that losing your home might create. Okay. And I would just say that if you think that you are somewhere close to that, you need to reach out to us and we can chat with you for a few minutes and possibly give you some nuggets of wisdom that could help you out tremendously where you don't walk away totally empty-handed. Okay? You can walk away rather than crawl away, rather than back away from the table. You can walk away with your head held high. And I know you're saying, how is that possible? Contact us and we'll help you to figure that out.
Yeah. In closing, something that we want to make sure that you guys understand is when most properties go through the foreclosure process, the homeowner is, in many cases, and there's documentaries about this as well. Some cases, homeowners have been viciously or aggressively, stripped or taken out of the home. But the homeowner is removed from the home, and the property, for a moment of time, is nothing more than a line item on the county's ledger or bid statement. In other words,
Mm-hmm.
they'll have a bidding, and they might even say address, blah, 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 and investors will start bidding in a row. Okay. And it'll be a bidding frenzy. So some of you may be thinking, wow, that's sad, that's daunting. Others of you may be thinking, as an investor that's starting off, how can I
Mm-hmm.
compete with hedge funds that are bidding to take properties? How can I compete with equity firms that are using this as a hedge? How can I compete with other local investors that have partnered up with their money to just go ahead and bid on these properties at a moment's interest?
Mm-hmm.
For those
Mm-hmm.
investors who are getting started and you're wondering about that, we want to let you guys know that there's another method that you can utilize where you don't have to be in a bidding war, where you don't have to be quote unquote cash heavy to actually get a deal done. And
Mm.
so in our live training on Thursday, we're going to discuss that as far as what you can do to ensure that you can still be active in the market, you can still help someone, and you can
Mm-hmm.
still be able to make it a win-win scenario. Because when those investors in the bidding rooms, and I've been there, when they're bidding, okay, they could care less
It's a
about the
house.
home.
That's right. It's just a house. They don't care about the. They don't care about the previous homeowner or the current homeowner. They don't
They
care.
don't
They don't care.
They don't
You
care
know.
that the fact they don't care that the sheer impact of them bidding today, right now, that moment, is going to impact someone getting thrown out of their house tomorrow, or basically the following week after the sheriff gives the 48-hour notice. They don't care about that. But you who are listening, those of you who will attend the event tomorrow, you'll have the ability to help those individuals.
Man.
You will have the ability to actually help those individuals. So you owe it
And
to them, you owe it to yourself.
mm, mm,
Click the
mm.
link, register, it's free. The information will be there free. You can come and ask as many questions as you want, and we're going to show you guys exactly how you can help others in the process.
And possibly help yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you
Man.
guys so much.